Joseph got out of his dad's car and walked toward the entrance of Clara Beth. He was thinking of only one thing: Dudley Winters, the mean boy that tortured him almost every day. Joseph got good grades but hated school because of that one boy. Dudley was 2 years older than Joseph, and he was raised in a very bad home. His dad was the leader of the local biker gang called Satan's Army, and Dudley was raised to hate God and anything to do with it. So naturally, Joseph was his main target. Dudley, more often than not, came to school with black eyes and cuts or bruises, or both. He swore a lot and always stole his money from teachers or by beating up kids, then taking it. Joseph walked through the doors and into his homeroom without a hitch. 2 periods passed by and he started to get excited because he had art class next. This was his favorite. But during recess, while playing on the swings, Joseph felt a sharp pain in his back. He got off the swing and turned to face it. Of course it was Dudley. Another rock came flying and hit him right in the eye. Joseph began to cry and started running, but was easily chased down by the older, faster boy. "Give me your money, faggot," Dudley bellowed, which immediately was accompanied by a smack in the face. "I don't have any, Dudley. I really don't." "Liar." This was followed by another hard hit in the face. Luckily, the gym teacher, Mr. Daw, saw this and grabbed Dudley and threw him to the ground. "You stay right there, you little hellion." "Are you okay, Joseph?" "Fuck you, asshole," chimed in Dudley. He got up and ran off the school playground. "He won't be missed," said Mr. Daw. "Come on, let's get you to the principal's office." The walk was long and humiliating. Joseph just wished it would end as quick as possible. Once there, Mrs. Ashcroft, the principal, asked Joseph if he was okay to continue the rest of the day without contacting his dad. Joseph said yes, and that was that. "Son, are you okay?" "I just thought I'd let you know supper's ready." "Okay, Dad." Joseph glanced at the clock. 5:30! I must have dozed off. He pulled on his comfy slippers and went downstairs. "Hey, son, how you feeling?" "Better." "That's good. Look, your favorite, chicken nuggets and fries." The priest was trying desperately to cheer his son up, or maybe he was just trying to feel better himself about calling the bully's father Sharptooth, or whatever they called him. Francis knew this man was into a lot of illegal and terrible things. When something went wrong in Dark Bay, chances are Satan's Army were behind it. Just last winter, a man had gone missing who had an altercation with Slugger, Sharptooth's brother. They found his body up near the bikers' clubhouse in the woods. No clues were left, and the gang were never charged for the murder, but everyone in Dark Bay knew who had done it. They ate quietly and finished within 20 minutes. Joseph ran off after being excused by his dad. Then the thought entered Francis's mind. "Oh God, I have to call that Sharptooth guy." The priest placed all the dishes in the dishwasher and sat back down at the table for a cup of tea. He usually always had a nice hot cup after every supper, and tonight was no different. Upstairs he heard the comic stylings of Mitch Hedberg over his son's computer speakers. This gave him peace of mind because he could hear Joseph laughing. He finished his tea and made his way to his study upstairs. This was a nightly ritual, but now he dreaded it. The phone was on his desk, seeming to glare at him. He mustered up his courage and picked it up. He had a list of all his supposed congregation's phone numbers next to it, so getting the number was a breeze. It rang once, twice, then the raspy, low-key voice of Sharptooth Winters spoke through the earpiece. "Yeah, what do you want?" He sounded pretty drunk. "Hello, Mr. Winters? This is Father Francis Brown. I'm calling to talk to you about your son, Dudley. He and my boy had a little run-in today at the schoolyard." His voice was almost quivering, but he stayed strong. "Yeah, what the fuck about it?" Dud tells me he beat the shit out of your little geeky shithead. Now, Mr. Winters, there's no need for language. I just called to ask you if you've disciplined the boy. Disciplined? Listen here, God boy. Don't you call here telling me how to raise my boy. I'll handle this however the fuck I want. Now go crawl into the grave with your bimbo wife and slut daughter. Francis immediately felt something he's never felt before. Murderous rage. He exploded his response back into the phone. No, you listen, you drunken scumbag piece of shit. You discipline that little greaseball jailbait son of yours, or I'm going to have charges pressed on you and him. You got that? Silence. For a second, Francis thought Sharptooth had dropped the phone and was running to his house right now to kill him. You're dead, said the biker. Then he hung up. Francis put the phone down and leaned back. This could be bad. The Satan's Army clubhouse was a tiny, well-built cabin high in the mountains above Dark Bay. This is where all the drugs for anyone in Dark Bay and surrounding area were made, packaged, and distributed from. Slugger, Hammerfall, and LeVay sat around a table sniffing cocaine, drinking beer, and listening to Black Sabbath, their favorite band. As if someone had lit a fire under him, Sharptooth Winters stormed in the room. That son of a bitch. That son of a bitch. LeVay, get over here. What is it, man? You seem pissed. That's because I am pissed, dumbass. I got a mission for you. The cocaine was taking hold, and in a drugged-up rage, Sharptooth had formed a plan in mere seconds. This was probably the fastest he had ever thought of anything in his life. Listen, and listen closely. I want you to go to the church tomorrow and kill that damn priest. Okay, boss, whatever you say. LeVay agreed to this easily because he himself was a Satanist. He got his nickname from Anton LaVey, who started the Church of Satan in 1966. His mind was a sick one, having already killed several children in the United States. He came to Dark Bay to flee the FBI and start a new life of crime, and to corrupt anything he possibly could. The job had been set. The gang continued to laugh, drink, and do drugs the rest of the night. Little did they know what they were getting themselves into. Francis was now very worried. He hadn't thought through the phone call and now regretted ever raising his voice to such a terrible, terrible man. But what's done was done. The priest spent the rest of the night reading quietly, thinking of the usual, and dreading leaving his house tomorrow for fear he would be shot down by one of Sharptooth's cronies. He knelt beside his bed and asked God for forgiveness for the language he had used. He then turned off his lamp and turned in for the night. The priest lay there thinking of the events of that day. Sleep escaped him for some hours before he finally came to the conclusion that everyone must have a strange day every once in a while. But still, he couldn't get what the biker had said out of his head. His wife was just living somewhere else. She wasn't passed on. Neither was his daughter. He still cared about them both very much, and the fact the biker had said that brought on that feeling of absolute rage. He now slipped into a deep sleep. Tossing and turning, set aside, he slept soundly. He would need his rest for tomorrow. Morning came to Dark Bay in the way it always does. Today was a little nicer, with the sun gleaming golden rays down upon the town. George Barry was awakened by the sound of birds chirping in the trees behind his home. He reached for his eye-opener of a cigarette and a shot of Jack Daniel's whiskey, but they were nowhere to be found. He was alarmed and a little angry, but kept his cool. He stood up, gazing out on the gorgeous Saturday morning that had been blanketed all around the town of Dark Bay. "Martha," he yelled as he made his way out of his room and down the stairs to his kitchen. Martha was preparing a hearty breakfast of ham and omelets. This turned George's stomach, as he had not yet had his eye-opener. "Martha, have you seen my whiskey and cigarettes?" "Your cigarettes are right here on the counter, George, but I've disposed of that awful whiskey." "What? Why?" "Because, George, it makes you do things you wouldn't normally do. You're a sweet man and I love you, The drinking has to stop. Please." She said this firmly, but with a sense of weakness in her voice that reminded George of when they first met, at the tender age of 18. "But how do you expect me to do that, Martha? It soothes me after, well, you know what." George may have raped his wife, but when he was not drunk off his ass, he was actually a very decent man. The drinking was the first big bad decision he had ever made in his life. But, unfortunately, this needs to be the only bad decision a man needs to make. Just think of me, George. Think of how we were before. Think of the picnics and the nice movie nights and all the great laughs we had together. Those are what matter, George, not that damn bottle. "You know what?" he said, lighting a cigarette. "You're right, Martha. This does have to stop. I'm gonna sign myself up for meetings this Monday morning, but you have to help me. You know I will, George. You know I will."